new yoga clothes with the tags probably still in her car. She walked straight to the front of the room and rolled her mat out directly in front of mine, so close I could have touched her with my foot. Then she turned around, looked right at me, and smiled. About 10 minutes in the middle of a quiet stretch when the whole room was silent except for breathing, she turned around again and spoke, loud enough that every woman within 6 feet could hear her clearly. "I just want you to know I forgive you. It must be really hard living with the guilt of stealing someone's partner." Every head in that room turned toward me. I kept my voice low and said, "I didn't steal anyone. He chose me. There's a difference." Tessa shook her head, slow and sad, like she felt sorry for me, and then she said loud enough again, "That's what he told you. But he called me last week, you know, late at night." He sounded confused. My chest went tight, not because I believed her, but because it didn't matter if it was true. It mattered if other people thought it might be. I did not respond. I could not without making it worse. After class, 2 women I had been friendly with for over a year, women I had shared smoothies with, would not look at me. One of them whispered to the other, and they slipped out the door without saying goodbye. They had never done that before. It hit me all at once what Tessa was doing. She was not just trying to get Daniel back. She was trying to take everything else away from me too. My sister, my gym, my friends. She was pulling out every piece of my life like threads from a sweater. I drove home with the windows down and told Daniel everything. I told him about what she said in front of the room, the lie about him calling her, the women who would not look at me. He pulled out his phone, opened his call log, and turned the screen toward me. He scrolled slowly so I could see every call from the past 2 weeks. Work numbers, my number, his mom's number, a couple of friends, no Tessa, not one call. He said, "Whatever you want to do about this, I'm with you." I sat there a long minute, and I thought about every time Daniel had been the one to handle her. Every conversation, every confrontation, every time he had stepped between me and her like a wall. Every time he pushed her away, she took it as proof he still cared enough to engage. As long as he was the one doing it, she would keep coming back. I looked up and said, "I need to be the one who ends this, not you." Daniel started to argue and I put my hand up. Every time you tell her to leave, she treats it like a conversation. If I do it, she has nothing left to hold on to. No more excuses. Just me, standing in front of my marriage, telling her it's over. Daniel nodded slowly. I had a plan now, not his plan, mine. Then Thursday, I came home from work and almost stepped on it. A white envelope sitting on the floor right against the door frame, like someone had knelt down and slid it through the gap with care. Daniel's name on the front in neat loopy handwriting with a little heart dotting the I. 6 pages of pink stationery that smelled like perfume. A love letter from Tessa to Daniel about their year apart and how the test was over and she was ready to come home. Halfway through the second page, it changed. It stopped being just sad and desperate and started being something that made the hair on my arms stand up. She wrote about the specific dish he made on Sunday nights, the one with the garlic and the lemon that he only ever cooked when he was in a good mood. She wrote that he always fell asleep on his left side but woke up on his back, that he kept the bedroom window cracked even in winter because he liked the cold air. She wrote about the little tune he hummed without realizing it when he was cooking, and she described it exactly. She knew what time he turned the stove light off at night. She knew which mug he used in the morning. She knew things about my husband's daily life that were so small and so specific that there was only one way she could know them, and it was not because Daniel had told her. I called Daniel at work and told him to find somewhere quiet. I read it out loud. When I got to the humming, the line went completely silent. Not like he had hung up, like he had stopped breathing. After what felt like forever, he said very quietly, "She knows what I hum." Then, quieter still, "She's been outside our windows." He came home in 30 minutes. We took the letter downstairs in a plastic bag because that was what it felt like. The security guard at the desk in the lobby looked at the picture on my phone and his face changed. "Oh yeah, I've seen her. Multiple times." He turned to his computer and pulled up the parking garage camera footage and scrolled back 2 months. And there she was, at least 6 different nights. Tessa walking through the garage at 8:30, 9 o'clock, sometimes later. Tessa standing near our car. Tessa leaning against a pillar with her phone out, just waiting. "I thought she was a resident," the guard said, shaking his head. "She walks in like she belongs here." I told him to flag her. Not the lobby, not the garage, not anywhere near this building. The guard nodded and said he would send her picture to every other guard that night. We went back upstairs and neither of us said much. Daniel sat on the couch and stared at the wall, running through the past year in his head. Every night he had cooked with the window open. Every small private moment Tessa might have been watching from the shadows. That same night, while Daniel was in the shower, my phone buzzed with a text from Jada. Tessa had reached out to her again, crying, saying I was controlling Daniel, isolating him from people who loved him. Jada asked if I was sure Tessa was not just heartbroken. I called her instead of texting. I told her about the letter, the humming, the security footage, 2 months of nights in our parking garage. The line went quiet, a different kind of quiet than before, the kind where someone is rearranging everything they thought they knew. After a long time, Jada said, "Okay, I believe you. What do you need from me?" I closed my eyes and felt something loosen in my chest. I told her I was going to tell Tessa face to face, one final time, that it was over, and I needed her there. Not for protection, as a witness. Someone in the room besides me who could hear exactly what Tessa said, so no matter what story Tessa tried to tell after, somebody else knew the truth. Jada did not hesitate. "I'll be there. Just tell me what time." Then I did something I had never done in the entire year of dealing with Tessa. I opened my phone, found her number, and I texted her myself. From my phone, not Daniel's. "Come to our place Saturday at noon. We need to talk. Just you and me." It buzzed back in under 10 seconds. One word. Finally. Saturday I woke up early and sat at the same table where I had once waited for divorce papers. This time I was not waiting for anything. I was ready. Daniel offered to stay. I told him no. This was between me and Tessa. He kissed my forehead and said, "She's going to try to break you." I said, "She's been trying all year. It hasn't worked yet." Jada arrived at 11 and sat in the bedroom with the door cracked. Tessa came up at noon wearing a fitted dress, hair done, makeup perfect, like it was a date. She stepped inside and immediately looked past me, searching the rooms for Daniel. I closed the door and said, "He's not here. This is between you and me. Sit down." She walked over and sat with a slow, satisfied smile, like she had already won something just by being invited in. "So what are we doing here? Discussing the terms?" I said, "There are no terms. I asked you here because I want you to hear this from me. Not from Daniel. Not through a door. Not not through a letter you slid under our apartment like a love poem. From me, the woman you've been following for a year. She said she had not been following. She had been waiting. I said, you watched us through our windows. You memorized his sleep schedule. You knew what he hums when he cooks. You showed up at my yoga class. You showed up at my coffee shop. You contacted my sister twice. That's not waiting. Her smile melted off her face. Her eyes filled with tears, fast and messy, and her chin started to shake. Do you know what it's like to love someone and watch them pretend to love someone else for a whole year? She said, and her voice cracked. She said she had sat through my wedding, watched him hold my hand, told herself it was not real because that was what he had told her. For 1 second her pain sounded real, and I wondered if I was being cruel, if maybe she was just a woman with a broken heart who did not know how to let go. Then she looked up at me and said, so just let him go. You got your money. You got what you wanted. Let him come back to me, and nobody has to know the truth about how this started. The sympathy went out like a switched off light. She had taken the most painful, most private thing about my life, my father's death, the debt, the reason I said yes, and she had used it as a bargaining chip. I stood up. My chair scraped the floor. You don't get to use my father's debt against me. You don't get to sit in my home and tell me what my marriage is worth. Daniel didn't come back to you after 1 month. He didn't come back after 6. He didn't come back after 12. He had every chance. Every single day of that year he could have walked back to you. He never did. He asked me to stay. And that is the part you cannot make yourself believe, because if you believe it, you have to believe he simply does not want you. You would rather watch us through our windows and stalk our garage and lie to my sister than face that he moved on, and you didn't. Tessa stared at me. Her mouth was slightly open, and her hands were flat on the table, and she did not say a word. For the first time since I had known her, she had nothing. I turned and walked to the bedroom door and opened it. Jada stepped out. Tessa's face went completely white, like every drop of blood had left it once, because she realized she had not been alone with me. Everything she had said, every word, every tear, every bargain, someone else had heard it all. Jada looked right at her and said, I heard everything, Tessa. Every word, including the part where you admitted you knew the marriage was real and asked her to step aside anyway. Tessa stood up so fast her chair scraped across the floor and nearly tipped. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Nothing came out. She could not claim I had twisted her words. She could not tell Jada a different version. The witness was already in the room, and the story was already told, and it was the one story Tessa could not edit. I stepped forward. The security guard has your picture. The building knows not to let you in. If you contact Daniel, me, or my sister again, even once, we go to the lawyer. The camera footage, the letter, the texts, all of it goes on record. This is the last time you walk through this door. She picked up her purse from the table. She walked to the door slowly, like every step was costing her something. She got to the door and stopped with her hand on the knob, facing the hallway, and said, quiet and small, he would have come back to me if you hadn't been here. I said, but I was here, and I'm staying. She opened the door and walked out. She did not slam it. She did not look back. The door clicked shut, soft and final, and the apartment was quiet. Jada crossed the room in 3 quick steps and wrapped her arms around me, tighter than she had hugged me in years. She pulled back and said, that's my sister. Over her shoulder I could see the table. The same table where I had sat 1 year ago with a pen in my hand, ready to sign divorce papers and walk away. And I thought about how the best thing I ever did was put that pen down.